So we are on the portion where now we completed, a question was asked by the disciple, what is liberation? We completed that section, and we started now with the fifth kosha, the last kosha, because we are doing the Pancha Kosha Viveka. As we all know, there are 5 koshas or sheets as though covering Atma, because Atma can never really be covered. So we say as though they are covering, like the sword is kept in a sheath, and there are these 5 sheets. So we went through the Annamaya, the Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and now we are in the Anandamaya kosha, which is most important because it is the closest to Om. So when you see the chart, our Gurudev's chart, Om, and right underneath is Vasana. So this Anandamaya kosha is called the bliss sheath, and it is the closest to Brahman or Atma, and that's why it is very important. And but yet we need to know that it is not Atma, and the joy and pleasure and happiness that we are all looking for. There is not a single person, entity in this world who is looking for sorrow. Sorrow comes to us because of our prarabdha, but what we are looking for is happiness. And this Anandamaya kosha is where all the happiness is. And that's why it becomes very important. Because there is no happiness in the Annamaya kosha and the Pranamaya kosha. Manomaya, we feel happy in the mind. Happiness is felt in the mind, but where its source is Anandamaya kosha. And therefore, it is very important to understand this kosha very well, this sheath very well. Now, last time we started this, or bliss is that modification of this Ananda Pratibimba Chumbita Tanur Vrittihi Tamo Drumbita. So, what is being said is Ananda Pratibimba Chumbita. Chumbita means Pratibimba reflection. The reflection of consciousness is happening in this sheath. Now, from what we have studied from before, reflection happens when there is a reflecting medium. So obviously, if this reflection is happening in this sheath as well, there has to be a reflecting medium there. So that tells us that there is vritti in there, vritti thought. Because we have studied that the pure consciousness reflects in the Manomaya kosha. Or rather, when we break that Manomaya kosha, mental sheath, into mental and intellectual, then we say intellectual sheath is subtler than the mental sheath, and therefore the reflection is actually happening in the intellectual sheath. Then we say within the intellectual sheath, the ego thought, the I thought is the subtlest, and therefore the reflection is happening in the ego thought. I thought actually when you bifurcate, when we study, we actually just say reflection is happening in the mental pool, in the subtle body. Why? Because it is subtler than the gross body. Then that reflection is reflecting that light into the gross body. Like we've given you the example, there's a dark room and there is a bucket of water at the door, outside of the door, and the sun is shining outside. The sun shines, reflects in the water, and then that reflection reflects the light into the room and it lights up the room. And so the room is the gross body. The dark room is the gross body. Gross body is inert. Annamaya kosha is inert. It's matter. So this reflection happening in the mental pool is reflecting back into the gross body, and the gross body appears alive. That's why we use the word appears. Like I'm speaking, it appears like the gross body is speaking, but actually the gross body, if the gross body could speak, even the dead body should speak. Gross body cannot speak. We know that. Okay. So if there has to be a thought for reflection to happen, and if reflection is happening also in the Anandamaya kosha, we are going deeper, okay, now. So if it is happening, that means there is a vritti there. That means there is a thought there in Anandamaya kosha. And I told you, this Anandamaya kosha, bliss sheath, is also known as deep sleep state. Therefore, tamo jrumbita, in tamas, it is there. Why? What is deep tamas is deep sleep. Deep sleep is deep tamas. This vritti, I told you, is like a little candle which is burning in the hot, bright midday sun. If that midday sun, noon, it's shining on the horizon, now you take a candle, and then is that candle going to be even visible? Or are you going to be able to see anything in the light of the candle? You're not. So that thought in the Anandamaya Kosha is like that candle. And so in that thought, this reflection is happening. Okay. Now, this thought, because it is even subtler than the mental kosha, Manomaya and the Vidyanamaya koshas, is known as an antarmukha thought. Antarmukha, inside, introverted thought, because when it is there in the Anandamaya kosha, which is also the V, the vasanas in our chart, we never know what it is. That's why we have always said that I don't know what is in my vasana level. I don't know that. Nobody knows that. Thought level, yes. I know what will come in my mind. My thoughts I will know, but the vasanas I don't know. And what will happen is something external will trigger that vasana at some point, and it will appear as a thought in the mental pool, and then I will be aware of it. Okay? Any questions so far? This understood correctly? That's why we have always said that, see, we have said all these things, but we have not gone into like this hair splitting arguments. So we have said vasana, I don't know what is in my vasana until it appears as a thought. And then I know, oh yes, I do have this tea vasana because, you know, I missed my tea in the morning, or I do have this cigarette vasana because now that somebody else is smoking, I feel like smoking that cigarette. I feel like taking a drink. I feel like eating something sweet. I feel like whatever I feel like, because when it is, I feel like, that means it's in the mind. And I know that. And that feeling will never come unless it is in the vasanas. Therefore, you see people, they'll be sitting, you know, everybody is drinking and they'll be fine. They will not have a thought of drinking at all. Or tea. They will be amongst tea drinkers, but they will never have that thought because it's not there in the vasana at all. So it doesn't trigger, that tea doesn't trigger a tea thought in their mind, because in their vasana level, there is no tea thought. So this antarmukha thought, which is in the Anandamaya Kosha, is the one that is reflecting the pure consciousness. And because it is reflecting the pure consciousness, it has got bliss. That reflection has got bliss. Why? Because pure consciousness is such Chit Ananda. That's why this kosha is known as Anandamaya Kosha. Now, the Bahirmukha thought, which is in the mind, our idea of happiness, what is it? My mind is agitated for something, or I want to have lunch with a friend, or I want to go on a mountain top, and then I do that. I have lunch with a friend, or I go to or there is some achievement. There's a promotion a post which has come in my company, and that's a higher post, and I want it. So I go after it. I go after that, or I go after the lunch or whatever. When that thing happens, I feel very happy. Okay. Now, when I feel happy, what I do is I assign it to the promotion, or to the lunch, or to the mountain top, or to the picnic, or to the whatever, painting. I did a painting. I saw a movie. I felt very happy. I saw a movie. So now what I have done is I have superimposed that idea, and I say superimposed because it is false. So I have superimposed that idea on that object. We have seen this many times. It is our own experience. Whatever object that, think in your own life. I don't have to tell you this. Think in the past and see the occasions, situations, persons who have made you very, very happy at that time, and evaluate that same situation now in the present time and see if that the level of happiness is the same. Can anybody claim that your own child, my first child, oh God, great, great, great pleasure. After 40 years, If I imagine and you think, tell me if I'm wrong, because you have to evaluate your own experience. Don't go on mine. No matter how happy I felt that time, do I feel that same intensity of happiness now? I don't. Suppose promotion. I had gone after a promotion. You know, great, I want this. After 1 year, after 2 years, on the same post, am I not going after the next one which is coming up? Am I not going after that? Okay, which tells me, which should tell me, but it doesn't tell me, is that happiness is not there. Because if that happiness was there, I should feel the same amount of happiness at all times. Whether it is now or 100 years from now, the happiness level should be the same. Is it the same? It is never the same. That's why Gurudev had his famous exam. He said, that's why we have garage sales. Don't you think that when you bought that item, were you sad? Oh, I want sadness. Or let me buy this. Or what a beautiful thing. Yes. My life is incomplete without this thing. Gurudev used to say, third day it is in your garage sale. Why? That's why we have to think. Vedanta is a shift in vision. That's all it is. Think. So that thinking should lead you to the fact that happiness, maybe it is not in that object. Otherwise, why would I put it in the garage? And why would I put it on sale? How many ads are coming on that Vinted or God knows, Craigslist has now become obsolete, I think. Now there is this apps on the phone. You just take a photo and download it. And one advertisement was good. Oh, I put this jacket on sale, she says, and then the husband or boyfriend says, it's not that the jacket that I gave you at our first date or first meeting or first something. Yeah, but now that time should have been most happy. Now she's not. Now she's put it on sale. Right? So let us now see exactly what the phenomena is of that happiness that I feel. I do feel happy. If I get a promotion, if I get a child, if I get married, if I get a grandchild, I do feel happy. I'm not saying that I don't feel happy, okay? But what exactly is happening when I feel happy? So what happens is, there is a thought in the mind, Bahirmukha. That thought is named Bahirmukha, extroverted. Okay, extroverted because I know it is there. I'm going after this promotion or whatever object. I got it, okay? When I get it, that Bahirmukha thought actually becomes Antarmukha. This is the phenomena. This is what is happening. And in that Antarmukha thought, which is in the Anandamaya Kosha, there is this bliss, because why? The reflection is happening there. That Antarmukha thought turns around, becomes Bahirmukha, and I feel happiness in the mind. The source of happiness is that Antarmukha thought, which is in the Anandamaya Kosha. The source. But I don't know that. I don't know, especially if I'm not into Vedanta, I will never know that. So what I do is, in my ignorance, I assign that happiness to the object outside. It has actually come from inside. That is why they say realized masters, or we also, once we know that the source is within me, I will not run. That doesn't mean for young people, or Gauri is not there here today, but if she's there, the thing is that, yes, you go after the promotion. You go after the lunch with your friend. You organize a lunch with your friends. You go to the mountaintop and do your painting. We are not saying don't do it. Don't think that the happiness is coming from that. That's all Vedanta is saying. And because the happiness is not coming from outside, I can be happy even sitting at home alone without friends. Without any kind of that happiness which is outside, which we feel, Vedanta terms as pleasure. And you know what pleasure is? It's like I poke my finger in a plug, open plug. There's an electric shock. Zzz. So my eyes go see favorite color or favorite movie. Zzz. Pleasure. It is pleasure because the sense organ has come in contact with its favorite sense object. If the movie was horrible, my eyes would have been crying. Horrible. So the sense organ, look how much dependency there is. The sense organ has to come in contact. If there is no contact, no experience will happen. There is a movie playing there and I'm sitting here at home, and if the eyes don't see the movie, then no experience is happening. So first of all, that contact has to happen. Okay. And when the contact happens, like my putting a finger in the plug, I get this little electric shock, this pleasure. I'm very happy. Which when I pull my finger out, what happens? The shock stops. So that experience ends. Experience is born in time. Whatever is born in a movie has started in time. It will end after 3 hours, 4 hours, maybe 10 hours, but it will end. So that experience will end. And when it ends, when I pulled my sense organ from that object, the happiness will start fading. One day, sometimes movies, 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 2 years, 3 years. Sometime it is going to fade. We are looking for permanent happiness in impermanent things. Okay? Thing is impermanent, thing is finite. You cannot get infinite happiness from there. That is what is to be understood. Yes, I do feel joy. I'm not saying I don't feel happy. I feel happy. Where has that happiness come from is to be thought out. Think. And this is what is happening within. In these two koshas, in the mental kosha and the Anandamaya kosha, that Anandamaya kosha is what is providing the happiness. So, but don't think that the Anandamaya kosha is Atma. The Anandamaya kosha has a reflection of pure consciousness in it. Through that reflection also, that is also a secondary medium only. However, it is within us. It is with us all the time. It is 24/7 with us. It is not like coming in contact with something. Anandamaya kosha is with us all the time. That is the point to be understood. We are not saying not to go after achievements. Yes, you should go. Just don't think that your happiness. I remember when my daughter went to the States, and the only reason she moved to the States because she said, Mom, there's more money there in the States, which is there. Okay, fine. Only one thing I told her. One thing I said, you have to earn money by ethical and moral means, number one. And second and most important thing I said, please remember that money is not happiness. Remember that. You go after money. You want money, na? Okay, you go. But remember that happiness is not in that money. That much you should remember. Money will make me happy. Oh, you think that, but that is wrong. Don't think that. Go. Now she has succeeded. She has all the money. Now what? That's it. Even money cannot give you. After a certain time, how much money? You can eat money or what? How much money will you spend? You can't. Now, the next one.
Jayaji.
Yes.
Sudha had raised her hand.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Is that what it is? The raised hand, yellow? Yeah. Okay. I didn't realize. Tell me, Sudha.
So, Jayaji, this reflection on the bliss kosha, the reflection happens because of the presence of vasanas.
That is a thought, vritti, yeah.
And but the external stimulus, this manifests. This vasana actually manifests.
Triggers, yeah.
Triggers. The external one triggers.
Yes.
So the vasanas is where the reflection happens. It's a medium.
Yes.
Okay. And the external thing triggers. Yeah. And then it comes out as a desire. And when we fulfill the desire, we feel happy.
Correct.
Actually, it's the vasanas that got fulfilled. And do you think that vasana got fulfilled at that point?
At that point, vasana became a thought. Desire got fulfilled.
I see.
Okay. But the thing is, we don't know how much more vasana is there for that desire.
What? But would at one point in time, when we really fulfill that desire, would that vasana drop away, Jayaji, or it gets?
Yeah, that is a question, and I have answered that, but I'll answer it again. There are two ways of neutralizing the vasana.
Mm-hmm.
There are only two ways. What happens is, see, when the desire gets fulfilled, we desire more.
I got it. So the vasanas, we create more vasanas because of that. That's why they say drop it there, right? Okay.
Correct. That's or the other way of neutralizing the vasana is when the desire comes in the mind, neutralize it right there. At the thought level, if you neutralize it, neutralize means what? You don't act upon it.
Another question I had.
Mm-hmm.
So say I had this desire of eating an ice cream, I eat it, I feel pleasure, right?
Correct.
You said it turns inwards. At what time does it turn inwards?
The thought, when your tongue will come in contact with that ice cream, you'll feel happy.
The bliss is because my vasana, a desire got fulfilled.
Yeah. The antarmukha thought becomes bahirmukha. And that bahirmukha thought is telling you, I'm so happy, I got my ice cream. But what has happened inside is, this is what has happened.
Got it.
That we don't realize. We don't realize what has happened inside. We see the ice cream, we have eaten the ice cream, and we say, okay, ice cream made me happy.
What if somebody finishes off all their vasanas, they kind of merge the reflection?
No, they finish the vasanas only in this life.
Oh.
We don't know what sanchita karma is there, right?
Oh, okay.
The minute the vasanas in this life finish, the body will drop.
I see.
Death will happen.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Nobody has done so technologically hand. That's why I was wondering what that hand was. Because in our class, everyone's like, okay, like this, right? So I can only recognize the physical hand. So when you did the hand,
Jayaji,
okay.
you should have a class with all the small children. All hands are up everywhere.
All hands are, they're technologically very advanced. So all, okay, not this class. Now, next, we have not finished this verse. We have only finished the first line. Okay. Syat anandamaya priyadi gunaka sweshtartha labhodayah. Priyadi gunaka. This antarmukha thought has got a three aspects. Priya, moda, and pramoda. These are the three aspects. These are the technical languages. Priya is defined as ishta vastu darshana janya sukha. Ishta vastu darshana janya sukha. Janya, born out of the darshan. Darshan is what? Just the seeing. So let's stay with our ice cream example. I am going by, unfortunately my mall is gone, but there was Purdy's there, and Purdy's has the ice cream counter. So I'm walking and I look. Just at that time I feel happy, just looking. Ishta vastu darshana janya. Just darshan has happened. Nothing else has happened. Happy. That happy thought is termed as priya. Technical. This is technical because this technical explanation we are giving for that. Then what happens is the next is moda. Ishta vastu labha janya. Labha janya. So janya born out of the labha. So I look at that, I feel happy. Yay, I'm so happy I carried my credit card for a walk today. Right? Barang, I go. Because most of the times I don't have my credit card. So I just look and okay, just happy, walk away. Jaya, you don't have money to buy that. So most of the times, that's why 99% I do not take my wallet or credit card when I go for a walk. This is why. This is a culprit. So when the credit card is so easily in the pocket and Ishtavastu Darshana Janya Sukha I have got, then I want Ishtavastu Labha Janya. So then I pull my credit card out. I want that. Then now I have that in the hand. Labha. I've not eaten it yet. That also gives me even greater pleasure. Moda. Then I lick it. I lick the ice cream, right? Don't eat it. Ah. Then there is pramoda, prakarshena moda, ishta vastu anubhava janyam, anubhava, experience. These are the three aspects of that antarmukha thought which is becoming bahirmukha. This is how this phenomenon of happiness is happening. First, I see, or other example, when I see the itinerary of my daughter, it's just an itinerary, Priya. Then I go to the airport and I see her arriving on the TV screen, Moda. Then she comes and I hug her, Pramoda. See, this is all our rishis have done this. We have never thought of all this like this. But think about it. Don't you think, you say you are craving ice cream, and then, there's a Baskin Robbins I saw, Purdy's I saw. You feel happy. So this is why it is said, Priyadi Gunakaha. Priya Adi. So Priya, Moda, Pramoda. These are the three-pronged aspects of happiness which happen. And why is this happening? Why is this sukha happening even? Next line. Punyasyanu vibhati. Punya, because there is punya merit from previous births. That's why even you feel happy. Because see, if anything that makes you feel happy, now it could be anything. You could see a rainbow, see a beautiful whatever. Now I see lovely colors, fall colors. So I was walking in Langara this morning, and there were two ladies there. I'm telling you that such simple things can make people happy. And there was wind today, or last night, there was wind, and all these yellow leaves have fallen. There are a lot of trees there, all these yellow leaves, and they were the wind had just blown those leaves. There is a fence there because the inside is a golf course. They were all like lined up against the fence, all the leaves. And these two ladies were taking pictures. And they were smiling and they were so happy. I said, yeah, in any situation you feel happy, don't you? And she said, yeah, look at this, how beautiful. Literally it was yellow leaves just lined up against the fence, which if I was walking alone, I probably would not have noticed, honestly. Because why? Because I was, in my mind, I was preparing my tomorrow's lecture. So that those things don't, I'm thinking. But then these two ladies I saw, and they're taking, one lady stood there with this, and then she got the other one to take a picture. So the lady with the leaves in the back, yellow leaves, all yellow. That happiness, whatever happiness that you feel in your life, remember you have exhausted one merit from your past life. You cannot feel happy. Think about it. If something with even those two ladies, if something was bothering them, if some sad thing had happened in their life, looking at a rainbow, looking at anything beautiful, will you feel happy? You won't. If something was bothering you, like, if you are in pain, say you are walking and you are in pain, or you are getting a headache, you say, what beauty, my head is hurting so badly. So if you feel happy with anything, it is punya janya, born out of the punya that you have accumulated in your previous births. So this Anandamaya kosha is triggered by punya. The vasana level, when you feel happy, is triggered by punya. Okay? Punyasya anubhave vibhati kriti namananda rupa swayam. So the fortunate feel it spontaneously when the fruits of their good actions manifest. Action will give result. That is the law of karma. The result will be of two kinds, punya and papa. Punya will result in happiness, papa will result in sorrow. This happiness, which is this, where the source is the Anandamaya Kosha, that is where you've accumulated a lot of punya. So if a lot of times, if you feel happy, it's coming from that punya. And even small, even a rainbow, when you look at, you'll feel, ah, ha, 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 what a lovely rainbow. Small things. Happiness, you don't have to have big things to be happy. Small things can also make us happy. You know, little things, the smile of a child, you know, just anything. I saw a little baby somewhere. I think it was, I thought, oh, what a cute baby, what a cutie pie, right? I felt happy. I feel happy anywhere, with anything. Then, every being without the least effort derives great joy from it. Sarvo nandati yatra sadhu tanu bhrun matra prayatnam vina. You can feel happy without any effort. You have to make an effort to feel happy. You just feel happy. You see something nice, you hear something nice, you know, whatever. And that. So the point here is, please understand, especially those who are younger and they are going after something, Vedanta is not asking us not to go after the promotion, not to go after the ice cream, not to go after the whatever, but understand that the happiness is not there, it is inside. And if we want to be spiritual seekers, if we want to reach the highest goal, vasana kshaya is there is two words, vasana kshaya and vasana nasha. So this vasana kshaya means reduction of vasanas is essential, and reduction of vasanas can happen when you don't take doership for that. Don't take any doership for whatever that you've done. I am the one that studied so hard and I got a promotion. That, no, have that humility. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. You must, when you know, anytime anybody who is attending spiritual classes anywhere, I'm not saying Chinmaya Mission, okay, any other classes or any YouTube that you're listening to which concerns spirituality, know that it is your punya fructifying. Unless you have that merit, people are not interested in this. So if there is even a little bit of interest in this, there is great merit that is backing it up. Otherwise, we even if we get a chance, we will sleep, we won't understand, we will misunderstand. Sometimes like not understanding is better than misunderstanding. Better to be totally ignorant than half ignorant, you know, where it's misunderstood. The teaching is totally misunderstood and then something else is coming out. So this is what this is, this verse is. Okay, so the Anandamaya Kosha, bliss sheath, is that modification of nascence. So when it says modification, that is thought modification. Please understand. Of ignorance. Nascence is ignorance, which is kissed by a reflection of the Atman. Kissed means the reflection is happening. Okay, this is a poetic language that Bhagavan Shankaracharya uses, which is bliss absolute. It is pure bliss. Another thing is, in deep sleep, aren't we absolutely happy? Because we don't know of our worries. We don't know of our headache or leg ache or stomach ache or whatever. Whether I'm poor tomorrow, you know, it could be like tomorrow I'm being sentenced to something. But if I fall asleep, in that sleep, I will not remember anything. That's why it's called bliss absolute. But unfortunately, it is experienced only in deep sleep because it is tamojrumbhita. In tamas, it is experienced and it is known after the fact. So when I wake up from my deep sleep, I come to know how happy I was. Because all these little candles, the reflection is happening and there is all, but I'm unaware of it. Deep sleep and samadhi are very close. It is exactly the same feeling in samadhi which a person gets, but in samadhi, he's aware of that bliss absolute. In deep sleep, we are not aware. We become aware after we wake up. Anybody who has had a deep sleep, have you heard them get up and say, it was such a sorrowful sleep? Deep sleep, huh? Dream, yes. Oh my God, I was frightened the whole night because I was dreaming, like I had nightmares or whatever. But from a deep sleep, when a person wakes up, you will never hear him or her say, I was very unhappy. I was so fast asleep. I was very unhappy. He will always say, I was happy and I knew nothing. Two things he will say. That's why ignorance and happiness, bliss. Okay? And which is pleasure, etc. So that priya, moda, pramoda are its attributes, and it springs into expression when an object agreeable to it presents itself. That is what I told you, trigger. The vasana level triggers when there is something which is agreeable to me comes in front of me. So the trigger is outside. Okay? If it is in the thought will not come. See, this vasanas, there is somebody came to Swami Ishwananji had told us this and said that Swamiji, you say that, you know, unless it is in the vasanas, this thought is coming from vasana, he said. That's what we say. Vedanta says that thought comes from the vasana level. He says, I disagree, because now some movie was being advertised in the paper. He said, no, I saw that advertisement in the paper and I thought of going for the thing. So what he claimed was that the thought is being triggered by the advertisement or the object outside and not from the vasana inside. And Swamiji said to him, I saw the same ad, but no desire came in my mind. Now think about it, right? Everybody is seeing all the objects. Is everybody running after all if the object was triggering thought, it should trigger it for all of us. Does the same object trigger a thought in everybody's mind? In the same family, Gurudev has given this very good example. Husband, wife and two children walking. Then there is a toy shop. Suddenly the children start jumping and the husband and wife are absolutely total dispassionate, complete and total dispassion. And the children are all jumping up and down, up and down. Then they go for the sari shop. The children and husband are total dispassion and mother is jumping up and down. Then they go into some technological shop, computer. Father is jumping up and the other three are like total Object cannot trigger thought unless it is in your vasana. Unless it is there in the vasana, that object cannot trigger a thought. You might look at it. Thought is, here we say desire. You know, say there is a bottle of wine. It's not going to trigger a thought of desire in my mind. That vasana is not there. Okay, that is to be understood. Is this part clear? Okay, no more questions? All right. Anandamaya koshasya sushuptau sfurti rukkata swapna jagarayorish ishta sandarshanadina. The Anandamaya kosha is fully manifest in deep sleep state. While in the dream and waking states, it is only partially manifest depending upon the sight of pleasing objects, etc. So this is a description. So this Anandamaya kosha, that's why we also call it as the deep sleep state, because it manifests fully in the deep sleep state. That's why that complete happiness is experienced in deep sleep, which we come to know afterwards. In the waking state, whatever happiness that we experience, I told you, it comes from that Anandamaya kosha. So there is the Anandamaya kosha in the waking state. Otherwise, you would not feel happy at all. But we do feel happy. And we do feel happy in the dream state also. So it is only partially manifesting in these two states. And it fully manifests in the deep sleep state. See, in the waking state, what is fully manifesting is the mind and the senses. There's a full manifestation of the mind and all the senses. In the dream, the mind is working, but the senses are not manifesting because the eyes are actually not seeing it. It is the mind only which is projecting, and mind is seeing the dream. Eyes are closed. A dream, you don't see with your own fleshy eyes. You can't. But you are seeing things, right, in dream. So in dream state, the mind is full manifestation. Senses are not. Waking, senses, and mind. And deep sleep, none of these are manifesting. That is another point. So we say that the happiness is coming from objects, from the contact of objects. How do you feel happiness when the senses and the mind are totally folded in deep sleep? That is another point to be thought of. When you wake up, you know that you felt happy in deep sleep, but the senses and the mind were not even there. And yet you experienced happiness. That should tell us that the happiness is not dependent on the mind and the senses. That's why when your mind is very disturbed, you know, maybe you heard some bad news, maybe something happened in the family, the most pleasurable thing outside, will it make you feel happy? It can't. This phenomena of happiness has to be understood very clearly, because all of us are running after happiness. We are running after different objects, but actually, ultimately, we are running after happiness. And what needs to be realized is that happiness is not outside, it is inside. The minute we get this, get it, all the running stops. The running stops. So here, while in the dream, it is only partially mad, depending on the sight of pleasing objects. So the Anandamaya Kosha comes into play by the sight of the pleasing object. And the sight of the pleasing object comes because of some punya done in the past. See, I have done some punya in the past. So I came, like, Guruji told us, like, he had finished his BSc in physics, and he didn't know exactly what to do. I mean, he was uncertain, but his father had passed, so his older brothers were there, and they said, what? No, MSc. So he took admission for MSc, and he himself told us, he said, I took admission, but really I didn't want to go for MSc. So anyway, he took admission, and then suddenly he saw one ad in the paper, some Swami is coming and he's talking on chapter 3, Swami Chinmaya. And he took the bus, and he was somewhere far away, but somehow that thing just caught his attention, and he traveled by bus. He was young, 18 years, maybe, hardly. He just traveled and he just went, and that was it. Just one. And he said, suddenly I knew what I wanted to do. I just went home. I told my mother, and his mother said, go, don't ever come back unsuccessful. That's all I'm asking you. You go, you have my blessing. Finished. He just went to Bombay, Powai, and now you know where he is. So that thing, his punya was so much for this knowledge that one ad just triggered it. It came out, that Vasana. Because till then he said, I wasn't sure only what to do. I didn't want to do MSc, but I didn't know what else to do. So this is how this punya triggers. In deep sleep, it is called as avidya. Okay, this Anandamaya Kosha is also called as avidya because there is no cognition of the world outside and there is no cognition of the world inside. Inside means what? Who I really am. Okay, that's why it is also, there are many names. Anandamaya Kosha, Vasana, deep sleep, avidya, maya, all these are synonyms. Okay, now, Naivayamanandamaya Paratma sopadikatvat prakruter vikarat karyatva heto sukruta kriyaya vikara sanghat samahitatvat. Nor can the Anandamaya Kosha be the supreme self because it has attributes which are ever changing. It is a modification of Prakruti, is created as the result of good actions of the past, and it lies embedded in the other sheets, which are in themselves all modifications, so that we may not think that this is this. We are doing Viveka, we are doing Pancha Kosha Viveka. So every kosha, every sheet, Bhagavan has given us reasons as to why it cannot be the pure self. Anandamaya Kosha also should be understood is made out of matter. That's the number one thing, made out of matter. And yes, we don't know it, but we do know it when it comes as a thought in the mind. So it does manifest at some point. At some point in our life, the Anandamaya Kosha, the Vasanas manifest in the thought level, in the mental level, as a desire, as a thought. Okay? And it is a modification of Prakruti, which means Prakruti is matter. So modification of Prakruti is also matter. It is also made out of the 5 elements. It has come from the 5 elements and is created. It is created. That means it can end. Ignorance has an end. It is ignorance, nascence it is, right? So because it is created, it can have an end, whereas Atma, pure consciousness, is not created and does not have an end. And therefore, Anandamaya Kosha cannot be pure consciousness. That is the difference. That is the Viveka. That is the discrimination that we have to do. So it has a beginning and an end. How does it have an end? When knowledge comes, that ignorance will end. When the knowledge of the true self, our own true nature. Okay? Karyatva hetu, reason. The reason is because of the actions. Because of the good actions that we have done, the punya is generated. That punya is now giving a rise to a strong Anandamaya Kosha. And lot more situations are coming in our life, which are giving us more and more happiness. It triggers because of the punya. It is the sanchita punya is there. This punya is because of that punya which I have done in the past. This situation is coming. Like I told you, Guruji's example. All that punya he had done. Then at age 18, till age 18, he had not heard of Swami Chinmayananda or Vedanta or any such thing. Then one fine day, he just saw that ad. He just went there. And I know it was chapter 3 as well. And that just changed his life. Okay. So this is how these outside situations come, depending on what we have done. That's why this world is called as a field of experience. It is a loka, a field of experience, which has been created for us to exhaust our vasanas. Otherwise, where would we exhaust those vasanas? That's why the world should be treated as a karma bhumi and not as a bhoga bhumi. It is not meant for me to enjoy. It is meant for me to do karma, to serve, and to get out of this world. That is the purpose of life. Never ask why I was born. Just ask, how do I get out of this? It's a mess. How do I get out of the mess? It's a mess. It's a maze. And we get lost in it without a guide. That's why this samsara atavi, atavi forest. It is called as a forest, and in the forest, the roads are not marked. So you need a guide. And that's why to get out of this world, we need a guide. We need a spiritual master to guide us. And this is what Bhagavan Shankaracharya is doing. With great love and compassion, he's telling us. So we need to follow that. At least we need to try and understand it, Okay, and it lies embedded in the other sheets. I told you, if you see the chart, the Anandamaya, and then subtler. So Anandamaya is the last, the closest. So it is the subtlest sheet. And then there is Om Atma. Okay? All right. Pancha namapi koshanam nishedhe yuktita shrutehe tannishedhavadhi sakshi bodharupo vashishyate. When the 5 sheets have been negated through reasoning based upon authoritative scriptural texts, then at the acme of the process, what remains is the witness knowledge absolute, the self. So this is the final conclusion, because then he's going to go into the topic of Atman. But here he concludes, this is the Panchakosha Viveka. Okay, this is known as the Panchakosha. So you take the 5 sheaths and you discriminate each sheath from the self. How will you discriminate until you know the nature of both those things? That's why every time it is said Annamaya Kosha, it is born out of matter. It needs food for its sustenance, and it becomes food for somebody else. Self is not like that. Pranamaya Kosha, activity, but they don't have knowledge. How can they be the pure consciousness? Pranas are working 24/7. Have you ever heard any person working 24/7? No matter how much money is offered to them. But poor pranas, if they say, I want to go on strike or Sunday today, let me sleep in, what will happen to us? That tells they don't have any brains. They only have activity. They don't have brain. They're not asking for a paycheck. They're not asking for a holiday. So no knowledge. Then they can't be pure consciousness. They have no knowledge. Mental sheath has got knowledge. Huh? I know. But it is matter. It is matter. Intellectual sheath also is matter. It ends. And Anandamaya Kosha also ends. The ignorance ends. And this is how you will discriminate. And so when anything happens to your body, you don't say I, you say, okay, my body is hurting. And nobody is asking you not to do medicine. First thing you do is call your doctor. Nobody is saying don't. It's your vehicle. Take care of it. Take care of it. We are not saying don't misunderstand. Some people think, oh, Vedanta, I'm not the body, so I should. No, nobody is saying the body is what you need. The body, otherwise, how will you meditate? How will you study? How will you sit in class? How will you concentrate? If your body is in pain or anything, you can't. So body is the number one thing to take care of. But don't take care of it. So people think I'm so young, 20 years younger I look. Not that, not that. This is what I need to help others, to serve. If I have to serve anybody else, first thing I need is my body, healthy body. With that attitude. So that's why Vedanta is only a shift in vision. It's nothing else. So you keep the attitude that I do need this body if I have to study, if I have to concentrate, if I have to help somebody else. And that's why I will take care of the body. The body has been given to me to get out of this world. I need the body. And I don't know how long life is. Everybody, gatasuna agatasun chanano shochanti panditaha. Everybody is standing in line. Please remember. Only time we don't know. So don't waste your time. The next topic will start next time. Any questions? Does Narayanji have a hand there or no? I think that's my, okay. That's different.
Jayaji,
Yes,
can
Kalpana.
I ask a question?
Yes, please, you can.
So you said any happiness we feel also comes from the punya in the past, but any happiness we feel also creates a vasana. So the only way to get out of that is to say that, okay, it came from God, so thank you, God, and just move on?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That
Perfect.
happiness, see, it will create a vasana when I will spraha.
Yeah, okay.
Vigata spraha, see, in characteristics of the Sthita Prajna, he is Vigata spraha. What are we? We are not, without spraha is longing. So I get this happiness. When will it happen again? When will it happen again? That should not happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that will not happen when you have firm faith that if I have done something in the past, it will repeat itself. If I have done that much punya, then the situation that has given me happiness will repeat. Because my punya is there. There's no need to worry. That's
because
how you
even
neutralize
like,
it.
Yeah, because even when we have satsang, because one thing I am noticing, because the more you study, the more you want.
Yes.
But even that is a desire.
Yes, it is. But it is a very higher, that's a very good question. Okay. Now, desire for satsang, it is because it's like that thorn I told you. First of all, I am Jiva. This I am Jiva thought should be removed by Aham Brahmasmi thought.
Yeah.
So this desire for satsang is better than desire for movies or desire for reading some other material.
Okay.
So the desire for satsang should be maintained. And in that satsang, when you keep doing satsang constantly, the ego will dissolve.
Okay.
In the Aham Brahmasmi thought, what happens is this Aham dissolves. See, Aham Brahma Asmi. So there is an Aham and there is a Brahma. So there are two things. When you hold on to the Aham Brahmasmi thought, there will be only one thing. That way, when you hold on to satsang, when satsang, it makes me feel happy. Even me, I feel happy even speaking. It gives me happiness. But you know what? If God forbid, if I cannot do it for some reason, whatever the reason, I should not feel unhappy.
Okay.
Then I know that I have not created a vasana. So when I do it as a service to my guru, that's why as long as my merit is there, I will keep teaching. Once that merit finishes, something will happen. I will drop off as teacher. I don't know when. So that's why people drop off from classes. People take breaks from classes. That means their punya has ended. Their punya has ended. When I was in Sandipani, every day, this is the God honest truth. Every day I would go to Jagdishwara temple and say, let not my punya finish. Because if it finishes, Guruji is going to send me home halfway. So hold on to the desire for satsang, keep studying, and in that itself, your ego will dissolve.
Okay. Thank you.
It will dissolve.
Thank you.
I had one question.
Yeah.
One of the question based on the earlier question, when a person, like me, I do the introspection, sometimes, the meaning I understand much more clearer when I do the introspection. Is that because of the vasana, or is it because of the desire?
No. See, when you do introspection, so as the mind is getting purified more and more, as the ego is dissolving more and more, there will be clarity in the intellect.
Okay.
So you need that. So you had a desire for satsang. Now you're attending satsang. Now whatever is being said in the satsang, you're doing mananam.
Yeah.
Introspection is mananam. This what you did today is shravanam. In class, we do shravanam. We hear. And then on our own, we do mananam. We think about it. Right? And then there is more and more and more clarity.
When you mentioned, for example, the prana living, I remember one of the Upanishads that you taught us. You expressed that prana, when each one, if prana stops working, when it starts saying goodbye, and then
then we are in trouble. That's what Ayurveda is all based on that. If you have digestive, that means that Vyana Vayu is not working, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll stop here for today.